On this training mission, we will learn how to perform a visual landing with the F-104C, broadly based on the procedures of the real aircraft adapted for the DCS sim. This training series is set on the Marianas map, and the approximate mission time is 15 minutes. Press spacebar to begin, with the aircraft on active pause. The F-104C is equipped with both VFR, ILS, and TACAN receivers, which allow us to locate any airbase equipped with one of those navigation aids. For this mission, we will employ TACAN as there is a station very near our destination, Andersen Air Force Base. First, enable your TACAN receiver by turning its mode knob to transmit-receive, which provides both bearing and distance to the station. Its rec position provides only bearing. Next, select the TACAN channel that you want to use. For this mission it's channel 54 X-ray. The F-104's TACAN is an early unit, which can only tune on the X-band, so no Y-band TACAN station can be used. Turn the channel selector by repeated clicking on the knob, right-click to increase, left-click to decrease, until its display shows 054. Just aft of the TACAN panel is the CDI selector switch, which allows the pilot to select which navigation source drives the course display indicator, VFR, ILS or TACAN. For this mission, select TACAN. Good, the green TACAN light next to the switch illuminates, denoting that the TACAN signal is now the navigation source. On the bearing distance heading indicator, the range counter now indicates slant range in nautical miles from our aircraft to the selected ground station, and its TACAN needle is now pointing directly to it. Press spacebar to continue. While we could simply turn our aircraft towards the heading indicated by the TACAN needle, it is much more useful to arrive there on the same heading as the airbase's runway, so we will now contact the airbase asking for landing permission, to know which runway is currently active. Make sure the VHF radio is still set to preset number 2, which corresponds to Andersen Air Force Base, and then press the PTT binding of radio 1. On the DCS communications menu select F5, ATC, F2, Andersen Air Force Base, F1, inbound. ATC will respond with the direct heading and distance we could fly to reach it. It also reports on their current QFE air pressure, and the runway it has assigned. It should be runway 06. Press F12 to clear the communications menu, and then press spacebar to continue the mission. Air traffic control assigned runway 06, which has a 065 degrees magnetic direction. This is the heading we should approach the TACAN station, so use the bearing knob of the BDHI indicator to set its requested heading marker to the 65 degrees position, which will be our reference heading for the upcoming landing. Press spacebar once the marker is on 65, as shown on the figure. Next, use the knob of the course indicator to set our desired course to 65 degrees by right-clicking over the knob. We have unpaused the mission. Set the throttle to 80% RPM and use pitch trim to achieve level flight at 24,000 feet. The TACAN needle shows that the TACAN station is to our left, so proceed to turn the aircraft to an east course. Do it now. Good, now level the aircraft and keep this course. This course will lead to eventually cross an imaginary line extending from the runway on a 65 degrees bearing, at which point you will further turn the aircraft to head towards the TACAN station on a 65 degrees course. You can employ the time acceleration keys of DCS to save playing time. The time will return to normal whenever your attention is required. The 65 degrees desired heading marker is about to merge with the tack and bearing needle. Turn left in such a way that both the marker and the needle align with the white vertical line of our current heading. Good, we are now heading towards our destination and aligned with the runway centerline. Begin a steady descent, try to maintain a 1,500 feet per minute rate of descent. The recommended descent speed is 300 knots indicated, with flaps and gear up. The thrust should be set to idle, and the maximum descent rate should not exceed 5,600 feet by minute. Turn off the gun sight, so that it doesn't distract you from flying on instruments alone. If necessary, employ the speed brakes to maintain 300 knots indicated airspeed. Internal fuel is now under 2,300 pounds. Switch to external pylon tanks, with a left click, to begin consumption of external fuel. To have the external fuel gauge show the fuel remaining on the wing tanks, set its selector switch to pylon, as tip is for the wingtip tanks. ATC will contact you to inform your clearance for visual landing. Acknowledge by pressing the PTT and selecting F1, Request Landing. You should perform a brake circuit landing to land on the 06R, right runway. Begin by overflying the airbase at 1,500 feet AGL, slightly to the right of the runway, so that you can check it is clear. Ignore any ATC message of go around. It's caused by the ATC not supporting brake circuit landings. We are at initial. Airspeed should be 300 to 350 knots, altitude 1,500 feet above ground. Set flaps to takeoff. Check indicators. Perform a level brake to the left, maintaining 1,500 feet AGL, reduce airspeed to less than 300 knots. We are now on the downwind leg of the circuit. Lower the landing gear once at less than 260 knots. Set flaps to landing position once below 240. Maintain level flight at 1,500 feet AGL, and do not drop the airspeed below 210 knots. Now you have to perform the base leg turn. Check landing gear down and locked. Airspeed 210 knots minimum. Loss of altitude on the turn should not exceed 500 feet. Roll out on final approach, at around 2 kilometers from the runway start. 300 feet AGL, 190 knots recommended airspeed. Throttle at 87 to 90%. Do not cut throttle or you will lose the boundary layer lift effect. Airspeed on final should be 170 knots. For a normal landing, touch down at not less than 145 knots.
Pontiac 1, check landing gear. Runway 06.
Touchdown. Retard throttle to idle. Close speed brakes if deployed. Deploy the drag chute as soon as the nose wheel is on the ground. Perform the after landing procedure. Engage the nose wheel steering. Close the speed brakes if still deployed. Set the flaps lever up to its takeoff position. Jettison the drag chute in an appropriate area. Set the canopy as desired. Turn the TACAN, VFR, and IFF to off. Take the first available exit to the right and taxi to the ramp.
Pontiac 1, taxi to parking area.
Taxi to the south ramp. You can park at any spot within the zones marked green on the diagram. This is Taxiway Juliet. Proceed south towards Taxiway Bravo. This is Taxiway Bravo. Turn right into it and proceed west towards the ramp. You can park at any spot within the zones marked green on the diagram. Good, you have stopped on a parking spot, completing the mission. Press spacebar if you want to learn the shutdown procedure, or press backspace if you prefer to end the mission now. You have opted to perform the engine shutdown procedure of the F-104C as part of this training mission. Speed brakes open to help cool the engine more quickly. Flaps lever up to retract the flaps. UHF radio off. Idle the engine for 3 minutes for proper cooling. Operation during taxi can be considered as part of this time. Press spacebar to continue. Throttle lever off. On DCS, you move the lever to off with the keys right, Control plus Home. Speed brakes closed. On the real aircraft, this step is done after the electric generators go off, but on DCS the electric system of the F-104C is not fully modeled yet. Fuel shutoff switch off. Unfortunately, this switch is not simulated yet. Press spacebar, as the shutdown is now complete. Good, this completes the visual landing training mission. Press spacebar to exit.